In a bright and peaceful kingdom surrounded by green hills and golden rivers, there stood a beautiful palace made of white marble and shining glass. Inside this palace lived a newborn prince, loved by everyone in the kingdom. But what made him truly special was not his crown or his royal name, it was his magical cradle. The cradle was made of glowing gold and soft crystal threads. It floated gently in the air and rocked itself whenever the baby cried. At night, it shone like moonlight and filled the palace with warm music that sounded like soft lullabies from the stars. 3 sisters were chosen to care for the baby prince. The eldest sister, Amara, was calm and wise. She always thought before speaking and had a heart full of patience. The middle sister, Leela, was gentle and kind, though sometimes shy. The youngest sister, Mira, was playful and cheerful, always making others smile. They were not royal by birth, but the queen chose them because they were known across the kingdom for their kindness, honesty, and love for children. Every morning, sunlight streamed through tall palace windows as birds sang in the gardens. The sisters would gather around the glowing cradle, smiling as the baby prince stretched his tiny hands and made soft sounds. "Good morning, little star," Mira whispered happily. "He slept well," Leela said softly, brushing his blanket. Amara smiled. "Today will be a beautiful day." The cradle glowed brighter whenever the sisters laughed or sang, as if it listened to love. One afternoon, dark clouds slowly covered the sky. The palace halls felt colder, and the chandeliers flickered strangely. The golden cradle stopped glowing. Suddenly, the baby prince began to cry, not softly, but loudly and sadly, as if he felt afraid. Leela rushed forward. "Something's wrong," she said with worry. Amara touched the cradle gently. "Its magic feels weak." Mira hugged her arms. "But the cradle always protects him." Just then, a soft, glowing light appeared near the window. A gentle guardian spirit stepped forward, glowing like silver moonlight. "Do not be afraid," he said kindly. "The cradle's magic fades when love is tested." "What does that mean?" Mira asked. "Fear has entered this palace," the guardian replied. "Someone doubts the prince's future, and doubt weakens magic." Leela whispered, "What can we do?" "You must restore the cradle's power by proving your hearts through courage, kindness, and unity," the guardian said. "Each of you will face a trial." The sisters held hands tightly. "We'll protect him," Amara said firmly. The guardian raised his hand, and the palace dissolved into soft golden light. Suddenly, the sisters stood inside a glowing forest filled with floating lights and whispering trees. Mira gasped, "Where are we?" "A trial of courage," a voice echoed through the trees. Mist rolled in, thick and cold. Shadows moved between the trees, and strange sounds filled the air. Leela trembled. "I'm scared," she whispered. Amara knelt beside her. "Being brave doesn't mean not feeling fear, it means walking forward anyway." Mira took Leela's hand. "We're together." Step by step, the sisters walked through the mist. The shadows slowly melted into glowing butterflies that fluttered around them. "You have passed the trial of courage," the voice said. The forest shimmered and turned into a sparkling river flowing like silver threads. "Second trial, kindness," the voice said. On the riverbank lay a small injured deer, unable to stand. "Oh no," Leela whispered and rushed toward it. Amara touched its head. "We must help." Mira gathered leaves and soft grass to make a bed. Leela tore a piece of her scarf to wrap its leg. Slowly, the deer stood and looked at them with shining eyes. It bowed its head and ran into the forest, glowing with golden light. "You have passed the trial of kindness," the voice said. Suddenly, the river disappeared, and the sisters found themselves inside a hall of mirrors. "Third trial, unity," the voice echoed. Each mirror reflected a different version of themselves. "You're too weak," one mirror told Leela. "You're too serious," another whispered to Amara. "You're too childish," Amira laughed at Mira. Leela lowered her head. "Maybe they're right." Amara shook her head. "No, every heart shines in its own way." Mira grabbed their hands. "Together we're stronger than anything." The mirrors cracked into golden light. "You have passed the trial of unity," the voice said. The sisters felt warm air surround them, and suddenly they were back inside the palace hall. The baby prince was still crying softly, and the cradle barely glowed. The guardian spirit appeared again. "Place your hands on the cradle together," he said. The sisters stepped forward. "We promise to protect him," Amara whispered. "We promise to love him," Leela whispered. "We promise to stay with him." Suddenly, the cradle burst into bright golden light. Music filled the hall, and the chandeliers sparkled again. The baby prince stopped crying and giggled, reaching out his tiny hands. "He's smiling!" Mira laughed. Leela wiped happy tears. "We did it!" Amara smiled. "No, love did." Just then, the queen entered the hall. "I felt the magic return," she said gently. The sisters explained everything. The queen knelt beside them. "You didn't just save my son, you proved that family is built by love, not blood." She placed golden star pins in their hair. "From today, you are their royal guardians." Mira gasped. "Really?" "Yes," the queen smiled, "because kindness is the greatest crown." From that day forward, the sisters cared for the prince with even more love. They sang him songs at sunrise. They told him stories under moonlight. They rocked his glowing cradle when storms shook the sky. Years passed, and the baby prince grew into a kind-hearted boy. One evening, while walking through the palace garden, he asked, "Why does my cradle glow when I'm happy?" Amara smiled. "Because love makes magic." Leela said, "And kindness makes it stronger." Mira laughed. "And because you're our favorite little prince." He hugged them tightly. During festivals, lanterns filled the sky and fireworks painted the night in gold and silver. The prince stood on the balcony beside his sisters, smiling at the kingdom below. "Thank you," he said softly, "for always being my family." Amara replied, "Always." Leela said, "Forever." Mira laughed, "No matter what." Behind them, the royal cradle glowed softly, not because of magic alone, but because love surrounded it. And so the kingdom learned a beautiful truth. Crowns shine, gold sparkles, and castles rise high, but nothing in the world is more powerful than love, kindness, and family. And whenever children heard the story of the royal cradle and the three sisters, they remembered that even the smallest hearts can carry the greatest magic. The end.